What's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Majors here out of Majors Academy Dog Training, and this is Dog Behavior Q&A episode 156, coming at you every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, answering any and all dog questions that you may have. So ask. We'll do our best to try and answer your questions. And hi, Rachel. How are you? What up? What's good? Yeah, we'll try and answer them to the best of our ability. Okay, might as well get started. All right, how can I keep my dog from reacting to bicycles and motorcycles? Well, your dog is reacting to bicycles and motorcycles because it's kind of the fear of the unknown. So you're going to have to develop a conversation with your dog in the sense where you have to be able to, on some level, get him to respond to you, him or her, to respond to you. And when you're on walks or when it happens. And so that's sort of the approach. How do you get your dog to pay attention to you? And not so much pay attention to the things that are making him react. Go ahead, Rach. Ask away. Ask as many questions as you like. Everyone is allowed to ask as many questions as you like. Let's have a conversation. So in regards to the dog and the bicycles, what I like to do is there's many ways, there's many things. But again, basically, when you say no, your dog should take that in consideration. My parents recently adopted a dog, and my mother got into a bad habit of placing a food bowl in front of the dog to eat. Is there more to that? So now the dog expects to be served food. How do we go about keeping the food bowl in the kitchen where it belongs? He will go 2 days without eating because he expects the bowl. What? That's crazy. That's crazy. So I guess what I would do is there's a couple things. You can, and I'm sure you've tried the first, but you can try and show him where the food is. Oh, on the couch. Yeah, that's no good. How about this? Maybe throw some extra, like get some wet dog food or some canned dog food and take a spoonful of it, put it in some gravy, put it in front of his face, and then put a leash on him and walk him to the bowl in the place where you would like. So like make it extra special, and then put it in the kitchen. And then if he doesn't do it, then wait until he gets hungry enough to do it. That'd be my advice. Give that a shot. Let me know how it goes. Thanks for your question. Okay, next question. Mandy says, how do I get my dog to stop barking at people as they walk by the house? Well, you'll have to show your dog that inside your house is a safe place. And that means you may have to add more structure inside your house for that to happen. Try to be more stringent on the freedoms that he has until he learns that barking is not allowed in your house. So barking is a way of him or her telling you that either they can do what they want or they just plain don't feel safe in your house. And sometimes a little bit of both. So in order to solve both problems, though, you'll just have to add more structure in the house. When he goes to barking, tell him to do something that he must do, like go lay down on a bed, preferably not a couch. Allow him to become controlled. Again, you show him that this house is not a place of insecurity, this place. So don't allow the barking, because that stems from some insecurities. Could be. Hope that makes sense. Okay. More questions. He's so insecure on the couch that he sits there. Yeah, of course. Of course. All right. My dog Zola is a rescue who doesn't do well with people in the house. She tries to nip only at specific people and not all the time. How can I help better socialize? So again, same kind of idea. If your dog is nipping people in the house, it's telling you that it gets to dictate way more than it should. There's no way I'm going to allow my dog to determine who to bite or not. They don't get to bite anybody. And as a matter of fact, they don't even get to go greet people because that'll lead to jumping, and that'll lead to barking, and that will lead to nipping. So you have to sort of separate the people coming in and the dog for the first 10 minutes or until your dog calms down. That's the best way to help take control of that situation, because right now your dog doesn't take your leadership serious enough, and so it takes control on her behalf. All right. Hello. Hi, how are you? My dog's a little shit. That's all I know. Yeah, I know. He's a shit. All right. Kathy says, ideas on how to stop a dog from digging. Kylo digs constantly, anywhere and everywhere. Do you think the e-collar is appropriate for stopping this habit? This is a source of arguments between my husband and me. Well, the first thing I would go to is how much exercise is the dog getting? You may have a bored dog, a high energy dog. I don't know, but that's always my sort of default, because I just want to make sure that that's squared away. Sometimes that may solve it. Now, the other thing is, sure, you can give the dog a consequence for digging. You have to kind of catch them in the act. But on hot days, it's a little bit more likely that they'll dig as well, because the cool dirt helps cool them off. And so, yeah, take those things in consideration when it comes to digging. You know, make sure before we go about giving the dog a consequence that we're being fair to the dog. You know what I'm saying? Thank you for your question. And feel free to ask another. Tell Buckley we say happy birthday. It's his birthday? All right, I'm going to give him something special. And I'll tell him happy birthday. All right, let's keep it moving. Okay. You're welcome. Hi, my black lab does not like my 2-year-old son. My dog growls and shows teeth whenever my son is around him. How can I train my dog so I can trust him being around my child? Well, again, two things have to happen when it comes to dogs and children. You, on one hand, have to get your child to sort of be sensitive to the dog and their spatial needs, sensitivity. And then you also have to tell your dog that, it's better to walk away when you become uncomfortable with in the presence of a child, as opposed to getting the child to walk away from you. And so that would be my approach. Um, I don't like, obviously, don't allow the sun to overwhelm the dog, but also don't allow your dog to be um, too I guess pretentious, maybe, with your child. So that's how I would approach it. On one hand, I don't want my dog to think it's okay to be assertive, I would say, with my child. On the other hand, I don't allow my child to be obnoxious to my dog. So you'll have to watch them for a while and watch them like a hawk, so that you can be there to correct any obnoxiousness coming from your child, and then any I guess assertiveness coming from your dog. All right. Thank you for your question. Feel free to ask another. Okay. How do I get my dog to stop pulling on a leash or laying down when he doesn't want to walk anymore? Well, you're going to have to show him that you're more persistent than the dog. He is saying to you, when I lay down, I win. I don't have to walk anymore. You're going to have to show him that that's not the case. And I think one of the best ways to get a dog to continue to walk is to make it a little bit uncomfortable for him to be laying there. And that could be just as simple as keeping tension on the leash until he moves towards you. Also, you could help him through that stagnation with your voice. You can say, "Come on, let's go." But you'll have to be more patient than him and more stubborn. Him or her, I'm sorry, to make sure that he knows or she knows that you're not going to take no for an answer in this scenario, and then he'll knock it off. All right. Thanks for your question. Feel free to ask another. Okay. My dog Zola. Oh, I already answered that one. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. My Beagle Coon Hound mix takes off outside if not on leash. She gets on the scent of rabbits. How can I keep her from running away? You got to teach that dog a really strong recall. So don't let her outside without a leash or a training tool, for that matter, whatever kind of training tool. Long leash, e-collar. You should properly e-collar train the dog. But the dog shouldn't be outside without some sort of training tool to help you get through to her, in the sense when you say come, the dog must come, or stop when you say stop from getting on that scent. The dog loves it. You may want to take your dog hunting. If you don't, maybe, tap into those needs that the dog obviously shows, so that maybe it won't likely do it when it has the opportunity to do it. Consider that. But yeah, that's a hell of a mix. Beagle, Coon. Yep. All right. Those of you who just joined, this is Dog Behavior Q&A, episode 156. Please feel free to ask as many questions as you like. We are here until we run out of questions. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. So ask as many questions as you like. All right. Okay, why do dogs hate the mailman? Seriously, my dog goes ballistic, and I feel so bad for the mail person who has to deal with it. Well, it's just someone coming onto their intimate space. It's an intrusion of privacy. We would be offended if the mailman actually walked into our house to deliver us the mail. We'd act similar. So it's the same thing in the dog's mind. It's just intrusion on their territory, and they don't like it. And they do what they need to do to get to sort of fix that problem. So it's a tough one. A lot of dogs struggle with that. There's only a few dogs that will maybe welcome the mailman. All right. I've had my boy for about 5 years. He's a rescue. I admit I am at least 90% of the problem. All right. Well, that's very honest of you. He has a couple of dog friends, but mostly aggressive towards dogs. I recently moved and there are dogs everywhere. I'm so frustrated and worried. Where do I start with him? I've talked to a couple of trainers about board and train, but so many opinions from so many people make it hard. Thanks so much for doing these lives. You're very welcome. Well, where do you start with him? It depends. Why don't you tell me this? Is the dog aggressive off leash, or is the dog aggressive when he's on leash, or both? Let me know. And then I can give you a more shorter answer, because my answers can be long-winded sometimes. Okay. All right, next question. We've been in our house and had our dog for 5 years. We're moving in a month. Any tips about helping dogs acclimate to a new place? She has some anxiety, so we want to make it as easy as possible on her. Yeah, great question. So when you're moving, all right, so here's the deal. Going back to what I was saying earlier, our job as dog parents is to make sure our home is a safe space for them. There should never be constant barking, especially when you're home. If there's barking or anxiousness in your home from your dog, it is our job to help them work through those issues. That being said, that means they are feeling safe through you and not through time, because sometimes there's not enough time for a dog to overcome anxiousness, barking, stuff like that. Sometimes dogs can be like that for years. And so it is our job to step in and say, hey, I need you to be quiet. I appreciate you barking. I looked and there's no one there. So now can you be quiet and go lay down or be calm? That is what we should be doing when we have dogs who bark and bark and bark and bark and bark. All right. So that being said, when you can show your dog that the space that you're living, or better yet, when you can show your dog that wherever you are, is a safe space and there's no need to act insecure, then it doesn't matter the environment. The environment is secondary to the relationship between you and your dog. You should have the relationship that when you say something, it should reassure them, despite what they want or what they want to do or what they feel they need to do. So I can go to, I don't care, it doesn't matter. I can go to a hotel with my dog. And when I say go lay down, that reassures them. That also obviously eliminates the barking, and he can be cool, calm, and collected in a new environment through my guidance, my leadership. That's what you have to ensure that you don't have to worry about moving from house to house to house and worried about your dog freaking out, being anxious, new environment, and that. What doesn't matter. The environment should be secondary to the relationship that you have with your dog. How much does your dog trust you? Your dog should be able to take your guidance and just be able to relax when you sort of tell them to relax. That's how you ensure, again, that the dogs transition from place to place. I've moved from here to Georgia, from Wisconsin to Georgia many times, and I've had dogs all throughout that journey. I never had a dog that would be anxious at all, because they know the safest place is just where I'm at. They're like, it's good here, and looking at me. It's good. This place is good. Okay, cool. That's what you want. He doesn't actually have a chance to experience off leash, but would say both. Okay, so dog aggression, both off leash and on leash. Okay, but he doesn't get to experience off leash. So I say that I want to point that out to say that this is going to help people. But I would say that some dogs are good with other dogs off leash and not good with on leash. There are two different dynamics. Some dogs are just plain not good, both off leash and on. But off leash, the dog's able to handle becoming uncomfortable in a way that is very non-confrontational. They have the ability to walk away. It's tequila, not whiskey or vodka. Anyway, yeah. So when you're on leash, you're taking their ability away to flight. So they have to, quote unquote, fight to get that unwanted pressure away. And so it may look like your dog wants to kill dogs on leash. You take that dog off, that same dog off leash, and he may just be like, stop barking immediately and walk away. It's the same sort of deal if you've ever seen that video floating around. So the two dogs are barking, and there's a fence in between, right? There's a fence between, two dogs are barking, 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 barking. And then the fence opens, and they're like, all right, see you later. You know what I'm saying? So there's that aspect to it. But to solve the on leash reactivity, he's got to start minding you more on when he's on leash, which means you have to add more structure to the walk, which means he has to heel by your side on the walk, which means you may need to add a tool for that if he's a puller. He'll have to be able to walk beside you with loose leash, because once his sort of mind can be occupied, along with you never allowing dogs near him, especially nose to nose, but in the proximity. So you should be crossing the street if you're walking. You should be sometimes turning around if a dog you see that is too crazy. You basically got to give him some space too. The prong collar would probably be what I would suggest. And get that dog walking by your side. No sniffing. You'll have to add a lot of rules, which means he can't pee everywhere. He can't sniff everywhere. He just can't do what he wants because he's insecure. So I'm going to post a video. I'm going to reply to your comment with a video of what I was just talking about. I think it'll help you out. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll answer another question. I recently signed up my dog for doggy daycare, and they have dogs go potty indoors on concrete. Do you think this will make his potty training in the house, revert his potty training in the house? Watched him on the camera while he was there, and he gave sign to go, and he held it. He came home so ready to potty. The short answer to that is just no. He will not pee. It will not make him pee inside your house. It's more about him peeing where there's a pee smell. So if they're allowed to pee indoors, he will pee indoors. If he's not allowed to pee in your indoor house, then he won't pee. I've definitely worked in dog daycares, and I've had my dogs all pee everywhere inside the dog daycare, and then they come home and they don't pee. So you're good. Good to go. Okay. You're welcome. All right. Here you go, Cynthia. Watch that one first, and then I'm going to put another one in there. But first, I'm going to answer some questions. I think I skipped over a question. Where is Rita's question? There's Rita. All right. What is your opinion on using pinch collars for training? My 4.5-year-old giant schnauzer does a fair amount of pulling and lunging. I've tried stopping and turning the other way, but this only works a small portion of the time. I've tried a pinch collar and it works, but wasn't sure if long-term outcome. Yeah, long-term outcome. Yeah, the pinch collar is a good solution. Long-term is what you're trying to teach the dog with the pinch collar. The pinch collar is not there to stop the dog pulling and lunging, not just there. The point of the prong collar is to get the dog to see that it does not have to pull and lunge. And then once the dog stops pulling and lunging, then you can long-term wean off the pinch collar. All right. Thank you for your question. Sorry that I skipped. Look, that's kind of skipped you. How do I get my dog from? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. We're good there. In regards to my 2 dogs barking, why shouldn't they be able to be on the couch and go somewhere else? Because I feel that them being on the couch is too much freedom inside your home. When they're on the couch, they're probably looking out the window and barking. Yeah. Adding more boundaries inside the house is also going to help them make them feel a little bit more secure inside the house. So getting them off the couch is a way. It's a boundary and a way to get them to stop barking. Yeah, Herm Springer. It's in the video. It's a Herm Springer. Okay. All right. So don't allow dogs on the couch ever, or just during training, until they stop barking. Until they stop barking, man. Yeah, Sonny can listen to strangers or commands from strangers. Sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep, yep. Okay. My mom walks her two little dogs, and about once in a while, they're approached by an off-leash dog without an owner. She's worried for her dog's safety and asked what I recommend. I was thinking the doggy don't. What would you recommend? The doggy don't. Should Sonny listen to commands from a stranger? All Robert would have to do is tell him to sit and stay. Robert won't do that. They'd be too scared. Or teach him German. That's what some people do. Or another language. It doesn't have to be German, I guess. How do I keep my 90-pound pit bull from jumping on people as well as whining when he's out by himself? So guaranteed this dog follows you around the house. I would stop that for one. Secondly, once then he is comfortable being away from you, then he'll start to become calm when he's outside. Also, don't allow him to come inside while he's whining or in that, pushy mindset that I want to come inside mindset. Wait until he is relaxed, calm, and cool in the backyard before you let him back inside. And from the jumping on people, when people come over, put the dog on leash until well, maybe good 5 minutes or until he calms down. Give that a shot. Yeah, doggy don't is great. I love that it's called the doggy don't. I'm kind of mad I didn't come up with it first. All right. My trainer recommends walking around Lowe's to expose to people, dogs, and noises. We do obedience commands while there. Have been there 3 times and he has not become aggressive, but it's pretty nervous. Is it okay to work in an environment where he is nervous? Yes, it is. It's okay. Just keep people away until he is relaxed. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Those of you who just joined in on YouTube, Instagram, or Facebook, please feel free to ask as many questions as you like. That'd be great. What? I missed doggy don't. Can you review or reference? Just well, let me see if I can pull up the video quick. Doggy don't is a noise device that makes a sound similar to a taser. But it's not a taser. It just sounds like a taser. And it definitely gets the dog's attention. A pretty good tool. Here you go. Doggy don't. There you go. I want to put in one more video, a walking video. How to walk. La, 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 la. There we go. Man, it is hot in this room. Okay, here's the how to walk video. All right, let's keep it moving, y'all. Hey, I'm wondering what the best way to handle off-leash dog approaching you and your leash dog on a walk. I have been approached by two calm small dogs that listened to me and their owner, which was nice. And the more excited dog barked a lot and had its hair standing up. This was a little more difficult. I'll go back to the dog you don't, but you get your dog, you stand in between the dog, your dog, and the dog that's coming to you, or coming at you. That's what I do. And it's worked for me 100% of the time. I've kind of obviously kept my dog away, but I've also been able to shoo the other dog away with, the dog you don't, the pet convincer, or just being loud, obnoxious. Yeah. Okay. When is it appropriate to use an e-collar with a young dog? What age? Well, it depends on the intelligence of the dog, in my opinion. I would say he's got to be really, really understanding of what you want, and then have the ability to say, I don't want to do this. So I would say I'd give it a year, 11 months, maybe 10 months at the youngest. It depends on the intelligence of the dog. I have trained young puppies, but you in that regard, you want to seek professional help just to make sure nothing goes wrong. Your dog's not like super sensitive. But yeah, it depends on the dog. Again, you really want to make sure the dog knows what you want and then says, I don't want to do it. That's when you start adding training tools, corrective tools, adversives. But if they don't understand it and you are training with those tools, that will lead to some problems. You know what I mean? Great question. Thank you. We have loose wanderer in our new neighborhood. You bet. Yeah, that can be dangerous, man. Like if you have a dog who's leash reactive and you allow an off-leash dog to come up to your dog and it may start some stuff with your dog, you're going to be starting from square one, because the dog that you're walking, your dog, is going to be like, you let this strange dog come up to me and he attacked me. And he's like, I don't trust you. So it's a pretty intimate thing for a dog to be on leash. I mean, you're keeping him on a rope. You're keeping him on a string. You're taking away one of his ways to deal with being uncomfortable. Like, I can't run away, though. I guess I may bark my head off. That may work for me. Actually, it does work for me because we go away then. I embarrass my owner and we go away. So I'm going to act like a fool. I think, let's see. Do we have any more questions? All right, guys, feel free to ask questions, man. Anything. Nothing is a dumb question. And know that your questions will help out others who come across this video. So please, if you, no question is a dumb question. Okay. Ready? My dog has been absolutely amazing from all the advice you give me. But how long does it take a male dog to kick their leg up to pee? Seems like my dog gets lower and lower to the ground. I walk at least 3 times a day, so he's just not holding his pee all day. I don't know. Depends on the dog. Some dogs who are some dogs who are less submissive, no, less dominant, more submissive, will kind of be relaxed with the leg. They'll kind of be lackadaisical. They'll just kind of put it up there and it'll just be dangling and peeing. And some dogs who are super dominant, their leg is like this. So it just depends on the temperament of the dog. Also, what the dog is exposed to. If it's seeing other dogs do it, it may mirror that behavior. So that's all I got. That's all I got. Okay. I have 2 elderly dogs. They are aging together. When the time comes to put one dog, but the other dog isn't quite there, is it better to put them both down or let them suffer with the grief of the loss of the other one? Jeez, I don't know. That's a tough one. I mean, I don't think it would be wise to put down the other if the other is not ready to be put down. Sometimes it happens anyway, though. Yeah. That's a bummer of a question, but I appreciate it anyway. Okay. Melissa says, I have 3 dogs. The youngest has started guarding the human bed from the oldest and is jealous, but only of her. Great with all people, other dogs, etc. We've been through a lot of changes in our home. We had a live-in parent who just passed, so the dogs went from always having someone here to now being home 8 hours a day without us. We have been kindling her for the last few nights and just letting her decompress. Wondering if you think a doggy don't or a clicker could help. What's the problem here? The youngest has started guarding the human bed. Yeah, I mean those a clicker would not help, but unless the dog is very super sound sensitive. But the doggy don't may help. Yeah. If the dog is guarding the bed, I would get the dog away from the bed. That would be my other suggestion, or what I would do. And I wouldn't allow a dog to guard the bed because all dogs sort of have equal, access or equal treatment. So, yeah, you can start with a doggy don't, see if that helps. All right. Thank you for your question. And feel free to ask another. All right. Next question. Okay. How do you deal with clients who have human aggressive dogs that wants to do a board and train? Do you have the client conditioned with the muzzle? How does the dog eat during board and train? Do you remove the muzzle? Good question. Although I do think it could be advantageous to teach to get the dog, the owners to condition the dog to the muzzle before training. That would be good, only if the dog is aggressive about the muzzle being put on. But I don't really use muzzles in general anyway. And as far as feeding them, I feed them what the owners tell me to feed them. So, but yeah, I think that's a pretty cool idea. Muzzle condition. Every dog should be all right with a muzzle. All right. Angela says, when we use our doggy don't, our dogs start running around like crazy thinking there's a squirrel around. Any tips on using this to our advantage? Throw the doggy don't in the trash because it's not working for you. Yeah, I don't know. The doggy don't does not work for some dogs. Or if it's been used too much, they're just like, eh. But I would do this. Once I use the doggy don't and they start to become crazy and wiry, that's your opportunity to really tell them to go lay down, to give them something to do. It kind of maybe sparks maybe sparks, I don't know, some adrenaline, some uncertainty, maybe some prey drive. But again, your opportunity then is to get them to lay down, and then you can probably teach them how to respond to it in a more productive way. But don't allow them to, just go, nuts when they decide to hear this doggy don't. As soon as you press that button, be there for them with your voice as well to tell them something to do. And that may help. Okay. Thanks for your question. And feel free to ask another. Okay. I think I got time for one more. So if you guys are watching, you want to type in one last question. I got time for one more. Because I'm all out. This is empty. Empty is no good. All right, maybe one more question. Okay, let's see. Boarding a 7-month-old German Shepherd who is possessive with food and toys. Pet Convincer is working pretty good, but do I take toys away? I feed her in her kennel, and my dogs know how to stay away. Yeah, whenever I bring in a new dog, I definitely pick up bones and toys until they get to know the pecking order, sort of deal. Then I will take away. Then I'll add those luxuries. But if you want to start dogs off on the wrong foot, if you want to, you'll have to backtrack if they start off on the wrong foot. So you don't want that. So pick up bones and toys. For those of you who are rescuing dogs and or fostering dogs, do the same thing, just to make sure that your dogs can get to know each other without, possessing something or trying to become possessive of something. It'll kind of help with, the transition or whatever. You know what I mean? So, all right, that's that. I think I'm going to get out of here, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Please feel free to give me a thumbs up or heart or whatever the heck it is on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll be here next Thursday answering all your questions. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you later. Oh, I got a question on YouTube. Hi, good thing I'm still live. All right. You mentioned e-collars. How do you properly use them for training so you don't misuse them? Well, you have to find a good e-collar first. A good e-collar will have a wide variety of levels. The e-collars that I use have 100 different levels. That means you can be very sensitive to the sensitive dog, or you don't have to be as sensitive to a really stubborn dog. And so yeah, that's what I would use. Try using, just look at my YouTube channel. There's a how-to e-collar video to how to get the dog to become introduced to that sensation. You want to properly introduce your dog to the feeling of the e-collar properly, so that the dog doesn't freak out. You got to be there. You got to know how to be there to help the dog understand what this new sensation is. All right. That's it though, man. I appreciate your question. I'm out.